My name is Jose Urrutia. In San Francisco, probably about 36 years old. 36 years. At the beginning, I was living in Daly City, by top of the hill. I was born on July 23, 1956, in El Salvador, in this little town in San Antonio, Santa Ana, El Salvador. No, I came to San Francisco in 1977. I was 21 years old when I came to the United States. Just English school, ESL. I took some classes at San Francisco City College, and then I went to English school they call Thornton School in Daly City. Just my mother, because my mother came here around 1968. My sister Adela, she arrived here in 1963, I believe. She went to Boston, Massachusetts, in 1963. And then she moved here from Boston to San Francisco in 1965, something like that. For better future, because in El Salvador there's not so many opportunities. Yeah. She worked as a housekeeper in San Francisco when she came to San Francisco, and a nanny, babysitter. Yeah, he used to build houses. He was a carpenter and worked also in agriculture. Permanent resident, because my mother was a resident. Yeah, after I came to the United States, was my brother. Let's see, one, two, three more brothers came to the United States and their families. Permanently, yeah. I was not planning to return there to live. I don't think so. I don't think any condition. I'll probably not. I'll probably go to visit, but not live there. Because it's a very organized country. The people respect the law. Yeah, it's that's what I like. The everything is organized. Not everything, but most of this was organized. Yeah. So we have to work too much. I feel more North American now. Yeah. Yeah, some friends returned there. They retired. They went back to my little town. Well, first of all, when I came to the United States, I came to San Francisco, and then I moved to Las Vegas I lived there for 4 years. In 1981, I came back to San Francisco and lived in Daly City because I got married with my wife, and she didn't like Las Vegas, so we moved back to San Francisco, to Daly City. Oh yeah, it's a big change. Before in the Mission District, there was more crime, more gangs. Now it's safer. Yeah. And I think the Latinos are because they are more educated now. They go to college and they prepare themselves. Well, before they used to live in a Mission District was Latino, uh, more Latino people live in Mission District. But now I think a lot of Latinos are immigrating to other areas like Richmond, Antioch, Pittsburgh, because San Francisco is expensive to live now. Yeah, and we can afford to live there. Yeah. I don't know if it's still there. Well, there was a one that they call La Raza, and they usually there was a cultural center. I mean, was like a school of music, and was I mean a lot of Latino gathered there. Hmm. Carecen is a place where a lot of immigrants ask for legal help about immigration. Yeah, there's one here in Richmond. Yeah, the legal and also they help them to fill the application for U.S. citizenship, and a lot of questions they might have. They answer those questions. Carecen is Salvadorian legal service. Well, there are a lot. I've been to many activities of Salvadorian music and most of the dancing and yeah, most of the dancing event that they have music from El Salvador. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And there's one in Marine. They usually do one in Marine Center in San Rafael. There's a Salvadorian festival. Yeah, they have the music. They have a Salvadorian food, and yeah, it's good. Yeah. Well, when I came here, I from Las Vegas to Bay Area. I used to work for Hilton Hotel. I worked there for 4 years, and then I applied for U.S. Postal Service. I passed the exam and was hired in January 1986. And I've been in the Postal Service for almost 34 years. I belong to union since I started in the post office. Yeah, they're called National Association of Letter Carriers Union.
I was born in Sonsonate, El Salvador, at the main Sonsonate Hospital. Where that is in El Salvador, that is on the west coast, west coast and southern tip. So really close to that edge, nice beaches. I mean, it should be it was a calm area, but yeah, that's where it is, southwestern tip. Mainly Sonsonate is more of a beach town, or like, whatever, like the city and even like I guess the border of the town would all be kind of related to the beach. So yeah, that's where I was born, in the main hospital there on the little strip right next to the market. So that's pretty cool. Well, at this point now, it's actually out here in the East Bay, but um, it's pretty even with San Francisco and the East Bay. I mean, I lived in San Francisco since we got here when I was about 6.5, 7 years old. And then we moved out to the East Bay when I turned 19. And now I'm 38. So it's almost 20 years both, in both spots. But I would say out here, I lived out more. But my main influence is definitely San Francisco, definitely. Urban at the time, it was more urban. We were in what you would call like real close to downtown, real close. My mom's mom had a little bazaar, like real close to downtown, so that's where we mainly stayed. And then my dad's house was a little bit further up, still in Sonsonate, but imagine going towards the hills. And that's got a little bit more rural in it, but we spent most of the time at my mom's place. Oh yeah, I'm definitely married, very happy married. She's Mexican, and she comes from the city, and she's been here about maybe 13 years, you know, and yeah, and so I mean, yeah, I have a good marriage. She's really cool. We understand each other, you know, like both of us being immigrants, you know, her a little bit more recent, but me having that plight under my belt, it helps because it helps in our understanding. So yeah, definitely marital status, cool. I got 2 kids, a 2.5-year-old baby Lucas, that's my boy, and then I have a 3-month-old little girl named Leah. And awesome, man, they're products of this country, straight up. You know, I would never met my wife if it wasn't for this country. So yeah, it's pretty dope. They're little Americans. My dad was a irrigation engineer in El Salvador, and what he did was he went out to the real rural areas and he helped them develop their irrigation systems, develop pump systems, how to get a more efficient crop. So that was my dad. That's what he worked on back over there. And my dad had a bunch of occupations, just like any immigrant coming from that country. Man, he was a dishwasher. He was a screen printer. He went on to be a busboy. This was a job that he stayed at the longest. Was he started as a busboy in Moscone Center, and he went from the busboy to waiter to managing the waiters. Then he went on to being a warehouse clerk, to being second in command of the warehouse, to managing the warehouse department. So yeah, that's what he did. Worked at Moscone in the warehouse, just pretty much for the I would say about 20 years, 25 years. Before when she got here, she was managing my grandmother's bazaar, so she was like a shop owner, you know, retail pretty much, and she would, you know, help out and, you know, do the sales, and she had other employees, but that's what she did. She was like a retail manager. And then when she got here, she had the same job since from the moment she got here. Was she went into housekeeping at a hotel, and she worked her way up till she was, you know, one of the like assistant manager on the thing. So the Civil War. The Civil War wasn't exactly raging, and you know, we were kind of we still got some of it, but we were a little bit separated from it. But with my parents and just speaking with my dad, even recently, they were worried about it getting to our side and the family being separated, because that was exactly what they would do. If anybody was like helping the campesinos, you know, even as it was your job, you were considered a radical, and you were considered a revolutionary. And so people were getting killed, kidnapped, and so my parents were afraid of that. With 3 kids, they got up and bounced out, man, came to the country, because it was a bad situation. And even speaking with my dad just recently, he still like shakes his head when he talks about it, because like he was like, yeah, he's like, they were snatching kids who were like 6, 7 years old. He's like, that would have been your destiny. He's like, gonna go get trained by, you know, whoever to be in the death squad. He's like, I wasn't gonna have that. So we smashed out, man. I believe it was a tourist visa. And then we were petitioned by my grandma and my mom's brother. And then, you know, we had to go, you know, we had just like, man, millions of immigrants in the United States, not just the Latinos, man, your visa's expired. You're not going back. You know, you're finding a way to stay here. And it was a lot more lax back then. And so we were able to do that with the petitions. And then, you know, we eventually were lucky enough to become citizens, man, which I hope for all the immigrants. But yeah, that's what happened to us, man. We came here on a tourist visa and just to visit, and we stayed. Directly to San Francisco, man, Visitation Valley. If I remember the street right, the address was 218 Teddy Street in Visitation Valley, man. That's where we came to live, and in my grandma's attic, pretty much, which was a huge attic, by the way. It was nothing to take away from my grandma, but it was a huge attic, and she did everything for us to have a bedroom in there. So definitely, we came straight to San Francisco. I mean, it was because of my mom's family already being established here. Um, you know, it was the help that they offered. If we would have gone somewhere else, it would have been a lot different, I think, because with my grandma there, as a totalitarian as she was still very much, a big help to us. Even from the beginning, definitely getting us over here and helping us get settled. Definitely. I think if we would have gone somewhere else, it would have been a bigger struggle. No. The majority in my neighborhood were actually the Mexican people and the African American people. In that neighborhood, when I moved to Excelsior, that's when we saw a kind of an uptick in the Central American community. But in Visitation Valley, no way. It was mainly the Mexican people, and it was the African American mainly. When we moved to Excelsior, the neighbor right in front was from Honduras. Um, 3 houses down, almost to the corner, was a Salvadorian family. Actually, two of them that lived in one house. There was, of course, Mexican people, a lot of them, but that's where we found out the more Central American. And like when you always hook up, it's always good because that's when, like we started. I guess that's why we stayed there so long, because of the like camaraderie, I guess, with the Central Americans. So yeah, I would say in Excelsior definitely the uptick, but in Visitation Valley, I didn't know any other Salvadorian or Central American family. For the matter, the whole time that we lived there, it was all Mexican people, and I was always outside. We were always playing with my cousins, and it was always Mexicans. That time, for my mom's side, she's one of 11 kids. So I would say about 8 were already here. And then the other 3 came after. One of them came in 1997. The other one came for a little while in 2000, but moved back there because that aunt of mine, she's actually wealthy down there in El Salvador. So she came up here and noticed that her wealth wasn't the same, and she went back to be wealthy. And then the other one, the one that was the youngest sister of my mom, came out here, but then she went out to move to Italy. So she's out there like Italy, Spain, one of those European countries. Yeah, so she did it with her husband and everything. But yeah, everybody else from that side came here besides my aunt that went back there to be wealthy. From my dad's side, he's still got a lot of half brothers over there. But for him, his main brother kind of lived, he was a nomad. So, I would say yes, but he always, he would live everywhere. So he'd go back to live in El Salvador. So, yeah, the answer is yeah. As far as like housing, like for my grandmother, um, one of my one of my uncles helped my dad find the first job that he had as a dishwasher. Um, and just mainly for us, what really was the help, I would say, and now I can attest to this, having children, was the childcare that the rest of the family provided. Because when we came, we were mainly like, there was one other younger child in the house, and we came in 3 young children. Like, I was 7, Jose was 3 almost, and Mercy was 4.5. And so, like, we were right in the middle of the rambunctious, so that I would say that was a big help from them. And of course, they fed us, things like that. But like, as far as like for like the help to help my dad establish himself and this and that, yeah, one of my uncles hooked him up. And then the rest of the family, like the younger sisters, would always watch us, because that was difficult. And like my mom, she applied through a friend that she had from El Salvador that they met again here, and she applied at the hotel. So it was mainly childcare for them. That's how they helped us, and that goes a huge way, man. Now it does, definitely. I felt like this was like lifetime. I think we left, and for me, as far as I was concerned, you know, growing up in here, I'm not going anywhere. If I am gonna go anywhere, I'm gonna go to another like somewhere, you know, that's a little bit more developed, and to where there's a better opportunity. If I am gonna go anywhere, but for right now, no. I like, you know, like I think I've invested too much here, especially in like education and like establishing myself, to where like going somewhere where I wouldn't be as established is kind of like, oh man, I'm defeating my own, you know, all my work is gone. But going back to visit and definitely like lending a hand in anything that they got, yeah. But about living there, I don't know, man. I can't, like, it's the way that the whole thing is down there. And I know, you know, since the last time that we spoke, you know, there's a new regime in there, and they are trying to turn shit around, and seems like they're doing a great job. And I know there's certain things that are going to be difficult to turn around, so I can't say never. But at this point in time, I don't think I'm going anywhere. Like, I'm not, especially since I got my children, and now definitely, you know, my focus is on them being the best that they can be, and being in the where there's more opportunity for them, you know. And El Salvador just is not offering that right now. And I'm not saying in the future it's not, but for at this point, no, I can't say I'm going back. More economic reasons would help me stay, but also the, you know, political. Like, how are you gonna deal with delinquency? You know what I mean? The delinquents down there. How are you gonna deal? Which this new guy shows like he's doing something good, but I'm waiting for the backlash of them, and you know that's always become a hard issue, and that a lot of it has to do with the economy as well. I think economy and delinquency are kind of like hand in hand. When the economy picks up, delinquency, you know, more people don't want to have that around, because now you're at a certain stage where, damn, I don't have to live with that. So I feel like the economy and the economic structure down there got to a point to where it was rivaling. I mean, it doesn't even have to rival U.S., maybe even Mexico, or like another country that's not, you know, I don't see why it couldn't. Then yeah, that would probably influence me to go back. But it's like, for right now, you know, everything, man. That economic well-being, it kind of starts affecting every other thing, because you know, with economic well-being, you know, maybe it becomes more political now, you know, and now you're easing the pain on the people who have to suffer, and you don't have to see so much of that. So I feel like the economic situation down there to change for I'm not talking about for the better. I'm talking about like you got to do like stratospheric changes to treat everybody equally. So, you know, everybody gets a shot of the pie, just like here. You know, I wish it was available. So yeah, that would make me change. You know, you know, because even without the economic situation, another, you know, on the flip side, without the economic situation, if they made it safe for you to be down there and do your thing where you ain't got to worry about it, that's another thing. You know, then I'll find a way to make my economy up here and just live down there, because it's beautiful, you know, and it's my country of origin. I was born there. So, you know, like, yeah, I wouldn't mind going back, but it would have to be something huge. What I like most about my life here is um, the way that I was able to kind of control and like be in command of my, like, what I'm gonna do and what I can do. Um, you know, for the most part, of course, you know, you're always gonna have things steering you, and you know, like, yeah, that part of that's what I like about it here, because I was able to, you know, say, hey, yeah, I can have kids, you know, and do I want kids? Yeah, and can I have them though? That's the other story. And yeah, you know, I got to a point where, yeah, and you know, that's one thing that I do love about my life, is the ability to say, yeah, I did that, and I can do that because of like this, like I said earlier, like I've established myself. You know what I mean? I've gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah, I feel like in my own heart I'm established enough to have these kids and to move on and get a house and do all this stuff. And that's what I like about it, was that I was able to really take it into my own like grasp my own destiny, which I'm not saying in El Salvador it wouldn't have been the same, but I think over here what helped out was the ease of it, because there is opportunity. Where over there, like if I did what I'm doing now in El Salvador, I'd be like this unicorn. You know what I mean? Where over here I'm just a regular Joe Schmo, and it's nothing to El Salvador, but it's just their whole system is not geared for that right now at this point. Where will it be? I mean, dude, I keep saying it, but yeah, this freaking guy Bukele down in El Salvador is doing some good things. So we'll see. But that's what I like. What I don't like is also the fact that I don't have that full steering of where I really want to be, where the opportunities were a little bit. There was opportunities available, but it seemed like it was because you're Latino, these are the ones available to you. You know, like this is what you can do. You know, go, you know, work in the fields or do a skilled trade. You know, like I was never really offered like, hey, why don't you become an artist? You know, well, no, you know, like, yeah, I love to paint, but no, you got to do this because, you know, so that's part of it that I don't like is that you had control, but not full control. And in a lot of ways, when you tried to do the full control thing, that's when you got shitted on. And so, yeah, that's the one thing that I don't like. Like maybe I could have done a few things different, but when I really look back on it, like, no, like, you know, it really wasn't the opportunity wasn't there to do shit different. So that's kind of what I don't like about it is like it almost feels like an illusion of opportunity, but it is there. And if you work hard, because I know I work my ass off to do all this shit, my brother's my testament, then yeah, it's available to you. But do I wish like I would have been offered like, hey, why don't you get into like computer stuff? You know, like hell yeah, like I would have done something more easy. Like why don't you play an instrument? Like totally, or go be an electrician. You know, that's a jab at my brother. Yeah, no, that's what I don't like. The same thing that I love so much is in the same spectrum of what I hate. So, you know, it's pretty cool. I mean, other than that, like since politics aren't a big deal in my life, it is a big deal in my life, but it's not. Yeah, the politics definitely need to change in this country, for sure. You can't be treating people like that, man. Like, you know. But that's one of the things. That's the answer to that question. I love this thing and I hate that. Like, just even if from what I remember before I got out here, man, um, the beauty of the country, man. Like, it's nothing like this urban, like, you know, it wasn't so urban, and it was like, you know, the beauty of it, man. Like, that's what I remember. That's what I really liked about, like, it was just a beautiful country, and you know, like, I know it's got its reputation, but you know, in your inside of your circle, there was some great people, man. Like my mom's best friend, who we grew up with, just another great person, man, willing to give you the shirt off their back if you need it. That's what I loved over there. What I didn't like over there, now this is going from a young one, and I'll tell you the other stuff when I went back to visit, and because it's very prevalent. But when I was younger, there was places you couldn't go, and then there was the threat of war, which even as a kid, I kind of like, they were like, oh, it was like the boogeyman, oh, la guerra, you know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, like that was sucked real bad. Like, you know, you can tell like this beautiful country was about to take this ugly turn, and like it pretty much did, man. And like now that I'm older, I can see it, but at that time, even at that time, that was like a looming thing on me. The war, you know, like holy crap, like you'd be kicking it, and you could hear it in El Salvador, man. There was fighting. You could hear the machine guns, fools throwing grenades, but it wasn't. It was like off in the distance, but you could still hear it. But it was a constant reminder, dude, that it's right there, and that was what I hated. I didn't like that. So going back, like after the war, like after, you know, going back to visit, what I loved was the way I saw the country as like something different from what was going on in my life at the point. And it was again the beauty, man. Like just people just living, man. Like you see some different struggles, and that's beautiful. the other part that I really hated was that there was a lot more people struggling, and there was the delinquents, man, the MS, like fuck, like messing people up, like making it to where it was like you would hear El Salvador, kind of like Richmond, man. You hear Richmond, like, oh, you're gonna get shot. I live in a great neighborhood that hasn't had a murder in like 5 years, and then any shooting goes on, it's like so far away, but that's what you hear. And then with El Salvador, that's what it was, even when I was going back. But the problem was like this time it wasn't like, oh, it's a fairy tale. Like I got, dude, both. I went back. I would say a total of like 7 or 8 times, right? Since then, like since I was 7, I went back when I was like 11 or 12, and then from then on, I went 7 times from there. And like those first 3 times, man, every single time I got chased for something that I was wearing, shoes, a coat or a jersey, and just like a hat and some other stuff. But that sucked because like you would go there and you're having fun, you're just kind of being yourself. You don't understand that, and that was great. Like enjoying like how it was before, and you get to enjoy into their culture. Because I was already, by the time I went back, I was already into this American culture, and so going back there, it kind of brings you back, and it grounds you. But then, like I told you, I got chased. I got like one time I got socked in the face, and that's when I was running. From the MS, and that sucked. And that part of it sucked, but it also sucked because not just them, but it was a lot of people struggling. Like the struggle was like in your face. Like later, the last time I went back, I was 18. It was right before we moved out here. I went back. Danny was alive. And that was that was when like the both scales were on, man, because I went there and it was just people were trying to get the beauty back of El Salvador, and it was gorgeous, and it was during like Semana Santa, and everybody's chilling. But then that's the time I went, and like I seen people that were shot on the street driving, you know what I mean? And it was like big, like the gang has gone, it was like at the height of their power. And then like that was horrible, and it was because people were struggling. The economic situation, an economic situation like that wouldn't allow a good economic situation wouldn't allow the gangs, because people wouldn't stand for it. But you ain't got no money. What are you gonna do? You can't go out there and fight this gang. They're gonna f you up. And so like that was like the biggest one, where it was like so beautiful, but it was like damn, it was like the lowest too. You know what I mean? And like that's what I would say I hated, especially going back visiting, was just watching the people struggle, man. Watching like these little kids, like man, like poor, like no shoes, wearing underwear on the street, like dirty as hell, like just they're willing to eat those left. Like I was having a pupusa, and this kid was just like standing right there, like hovering over me on the table, and like the waitress came and like slapped him, like shoot him away like a little fly. And of course, like he stayed over there, and it just made me feel so bad, dude. I remember that. I still to this day, dude, can see that kid's face. And I ordered another pupusa, and I gave it to him. And I'll never forget that he took a little piece and ate it for himself, and he put the other in the thing, and he said he was taking it home to help his mom and his brothers. I was like, damn, dude, one pupusa. So like when I think about that, like that was one of the worst things I hated about El Salvador. But then like I remember like them doing Semana Santa and seeing how people are like even poor, like they're doing this stuff and they're offering you everything. Like that was one of the highlights, So it's very like that thinking of that country and going back there, it's like very like it's a roller coaster, man. And it's cool because if you have a heart like that, like to think about that stuff, like yeah, it's a big roller coaster, man, because like you're like, God, it's so beautiful here, cobblestone, freaking like the mountains and like the little all that, like the streets, the way the houses are painted, the way the market is. But then you dig a little deeper and you look, and it's these people struggling, man, and that sucked for me. I think I do identify more as a North American, and it's just due to the culture, man. Like I stick out like a sore thumb down there, even this moment. And so like definitely more North American. And it's just because you were raised like that, man. And you have to immerse yourself, especially as a young immigrant kid, man. You have to immerse yourself because if you don't, people look at you. You know, you get treated differently. And even now in this country, see, that's still even that's a true statement, even in 2019 in this country, and that's fucking sad. So, but it's that I would say I'm more North American.